Hey, I want to tell you about RacerX's latest promo that they have going on. If you subscribe or renew today, you're going to get some awesome stuff. You're going to get a RacerX trailer sticker and a license plate frame. Obviously, you get the 12 print and digital issues. It's just $30 a year. You get a super sweet license plate frame and obviously the trailer sticker to let everybody know that you rep and read the greatest brand in Moto. Go to racerxonline.com/Moto Marketing and subscribe there. Hey, I want to tell you about Moto Brand. Moto Brand was founded during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic when the sport that we live for was taken from so many of us, whether it's cycling or moto, waking up on a Saturday morning knowing that your local track was closed, there would be no Supercross, and for many of us that we couldn't even hit our favorite local riding spot or trail with our crew. We are forced to be reminded of how much the sport of moto and cycling truly means to us. Moto Brand represents a collection of individuals that not only ride, but live to ride. It's what we think of at all times of the day, and sometimes at a detriment to your relationship with your significant other. It's for those that look at their motorcycle or their bicycle as part of their identity. Maybe it's the way that you bond with your son or your daughter or your spouse. Perhaps it's your way to blow off stress of your day job, or even, hey, it is what it is, maybe even it's your marriage. This sport is more than just a sport. For many of us, it's a way of life. It's what keeps us ticking. It's what keeps us living. Moto Brand was created for a purpose, to be more than just a shirt that you can throw on in the morning, but these designs represent who you are and what you stand for. So I encourage you to head over to the motobrand.com, check out our collection. We have a pedal collection and we have a throttle collection, and there are more designs to come that stand for something. So head over to motobrand.com and we'll see you there. Hey guys, we got an awesome show for you today with 8-time GNCC champion Barry Hawk. Just a little bit of a heads up, Barry is at the Coastal Racing shop, which service and Wi-Fi is a little bit spotty. There are some points that his audio cuts in and out. So just kind of bear with it. We get a lot of great info from him, and it's a really good interview, but it does cut in and out a little bit as we go through. So just a little bit of a heads up, but enjoy the episode. I think you'll get a lot from it. We talk about all of his championships and what he's doing now, so really cool episode for you.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. We've got a special guest for you today. One of the all-time greats when it comes to the off-road racing space and just essentially the GOAT of GNCC. We've got Barry Hawk with us. He's an 8-time champion. He just corrected me. 7 on ATVs, 1 on the bike. Just incredible. Now he's even racing e-bikes with his son Talon. Barry's got an incredible career. We're going to talk a little bit about it. And then transitioning into his second life as being the team manager of the now GasGas Coastal Factory Racing team. Barry, it's a busy time of year for you, man. I appreciate you being on the show with us today, and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me. And yeah, it is busy time of the year. Wide open. Honestly, for me, this is my least favorite time of the year for a couple reasons. One, because it's cold and you can't go outside and do what you want to do outside. But two, it's really hectic for me trying to line everything up and make sure everybody has the product they need and everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing on my team. So, and then plus with the email, I'm going 20 directions at any given point this time of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. It's you're being pulled a lot of different ways, and you cut out on us a little bit there, but I think you also have your son who is pretty heavily involved in GNCC from the e-bike side of things. So that's you're as focused on things with him as you are with your team. So I'm sure you're getting pulled all over the place. And as we're recording this, I think we said we're 39 days out from the first race of the season, so it's go time for you. A lot of exciting stuff going on this year. You guys have switched to GasGas, and there's just a lot of stuff going on in the sport and with your team. We'll dive into that. I always like to take a step back, especially when it's somebody as accomplished as you, and talk a little bit about your career as an athlete and then transitioning that to your career now as a team manager. So 8-time champion. Just walk us through that. When did you start racing GNCC for those that might be more motocross and supercross oriented and aren't as familiar with the East Coast GNCC series? When did you start racing, and then when was your first championship? How did that all get started?
I started racing GNCCs back a million years ago. 1989 was my first year. I was 16 years old.
Wow, that's the year I was born. Not to make you feel old.
Yeah, had an ATV, and actually back then the series being based out of Morgantown, so a lot of the races were a lot closer to Morgantown than they are now. So I went to my first race. It was it would have been Brownsville. Actually, it's where some local series still to this day. I went to Brownsville. I think I got fifth in 4-stroke B, and then I went to another race a couple weeks later. Race 4-stroke B, got fifth again. Felt like I was a lot faster, but I was 16 years old, and at that point you think you know everything. And anyhow, I went to my third GNCC, which was in Beckley, West Virginia. Actually, it's where the Winter Place Ski Resort.
Oh, wow.
Used to be a GNCC there. So that was my third GNCC. I went there and won.
Wow.
So from that point on, I was hooked. And so I was 16. Then by the time I was 18, I was in the pro class, and I won my first overall in the ATV when I was 18 years old. I think maybe still to this day, I may have been the youngest overall winner of a GNCC. But that was pretty neat. I mean, I was nervous as heck to go talk on the podium and do all that stuff. But that was my first win, and I was 18. And I didn't actually get another win. That would have been that would have been 91, and then I didn't get another win till 93. But then in 93, as when I won my first, I won 6, 7, 8 races that year. Won my first ATV championship, and ended up going on to win 7 consecutive championships. 1999 was my last year on the ATV. So that was it was good fun, but if I back up, so 99 was my last year on ATV. 93 was my first year I won a championship. In 93, I also started racing the dirt bike on Sundays after racing for 2 hours on Saturday.
So you were doing them both. I didn't realize that. You were doing them both at the same time. Wow.
So 93, there was no 10-hour races. It was just, it was a youth race, and then everybody just raced in the afternoon for 3 hours. So I signed up in 4-stroke B in that. And I don't even know. I think I maybe finished like third for the year in 93 on the bike. And again, I was just doing the bike thing to cross train and help me on the ATV.
Right.
That was my goal going into 93. So anyhow, I done pretty good. Had some great people behind me, helping me on the bike. And then 94, I ended up winning the class. And then I just kept progressing on the bike and moved overall. Got to the point in 1997, the team that was sponsoring me, they said, "Hey, it's been a good run, but we're not going to do it again in 98. We're done. No hard feelings. There was nothing against me. They just want to change directions." I said, "I get it." So for 98, I didn't have a ride. I said, I told my wife, I said, we're just a young couple. I said, I'm not going to race the dirt bike anymore. I couldn't really afford to go out and buy a dirt bike, couldn't do everything myself. So I was going to be done racing. And then luckily, I was in the right place, right time. That was the first. So they approached me and Randy Hawkins, and actually, so for 98, I got a deal to race for Factory Yamaha with Randy Hawkins with the Am Pro team, racing the 4-stroke. It wasn't really what I wanted at the time, but I thought, hey, it's a factory deal.
Right.
It wasn't when I say it isn't what I wanted, it wasn't the bike that I wanted. I wanted to race a 2-stroke, but anyhow, things worked out. I had some decent rides in 98, and I think I'm a couple tall. In 98, I was racing pro. I was racing pro Saturday and pro Sunday. So I'd race 2 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday. I did the 3-hour gig for 7 years, but I was pro both days for 98 and 99.
Wow.
So looking back on it, and I do remember actually it would have been high point of 99. I think I won the day before on the ATV, and then going into the last lap at high point, I was in 4th overall. It was my best point. It was bike, and I remember on the moto track, coming to the white flag, first, second, third on the moto track in front of me. I'm like, holy crap! Like, I'm coming to the white flag, and I got to cheer. You never know what's going to happen. Got the white flag. I'm in 4th. I'm like 15 seconds back from the lead pack. And about a mile in, I come down the hill too hot and crashed. No, I didn't get hurt, but knocked the wind out of me. And when I got up, it was like my legs were cramping. And I'm like, I couldn't even hardly pick the bike up. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, at that point, I went into conserve mode. Like, I just got to finish 4th. I can't catch these guys. But I had so much adrenaline going up to that point. And then when I crashed, I took the wind out of my sails. And I'm like, oh, man, I ended up finishing, I think, 4th for the day. Wow. My best result up to that point. But looking back on it now, racing 2 hours on Saturday and then 3 hours on Sunday, I mean, I'm 4.5 hours into racing in that, what, a 26-hour time period. And my body was beat. I didn't have any left in the tank. But, yeah, it was, that led in 99 was my last year on the ATV. So I went to Yamaha. I said, hey, can you guys, let's try and work out a deal so I can not race the ATV, dedicate myself to the bike.
Right.
They agreed. Randy agreed. So I started racing full-time pro GNCC guy for Yamaha in 2000. I think I had 2 podiums that year. Results were up and down. Really good or really bad, really good, really bad. But then 2001, I ended up winning my 1st overall on a bike. So at that point, I'm like, okay. And when I done it, I'm like, I had done this 49 times on the ATV. I had 49 overalls. And I'm like, why did it take me this long to figure this out on the bike? Because I didn't get the whole shot, but I had a decent start, got into the lead early on. And it was actually at Matthews Farms. 2001 was my 1st overall that was on the bike. And it was like the whole time I didn't think about anything myself in front of me. And when it was over, it was like I was so happy because I finally got a bike one. I was so mad because I just said, I'm like, you idiot, why? I did this sometimes. It was easy in the quad. And anyhow, it clicked at these and then ended up getting, I think I have 18 over wins, won the championship. That was 2000. I got my first win. I got another win in 2002, and then 2003 was the year. I think I have 5 or 6 overalls that year and won the championship in 2003 on the bike. 2004, I ended up getting injured. I missed a couple rounds, so I was out of it for the championship. But I think I have 4 or 5 wins that year, and then 2005 and 6 is when the Europeans come over. I finished. So 2005, 2006, 2007, I finished 2nd overall in those. So it's been, I've been, if you add up all my seasons, I think I have 29 GNCC series or 29 seasons of GNCC racing. If you add them up consecutively. So,
and what
now with doing the e-bike thing, it's, and plus I raced a UTV. So other than youth racing, I think I've done every form of GNCC. Yeah. Yep.
I find it interesting. So we've worked with MX Sports and promoted the GNCCs because that's what my digital marketing company, they use us to do the advertising. So we've worked with the series for a long time. This past season, I learned more about the sport than ever before because growing up, I was a motocross, supercross enthusiast. I knew about GNCC. I'm from the area, but I wasn't deep in it. Well, this season, I learned more about, the history of the sport and just how the day works than ever before. And I guess my appreciation for what you did really stood out this year because, to the best of my knowledge, nobody has ever really done what you did. And maybe it's because it's just crazy what you did as far as racing at a professional level, the ATVs, and then at a professional level, the bikes, and doing both for such a long time. I didn't really realize back in the day when I knew who you were, but didn't really understand how big of a deal it was, that you did both at such a high level for so long. How come we don't see more people doing that? Like, I think Walker Fowler has a background on a motorcycle,
He does.
but you don't really see him crossing over, and you don't see the McGills and the Borch. I mean, so is there one thing that's prohibiting people from doing that, or were you just a little bit off your rocker with wanting to dive into both, and you just love racing that much?
My opinion on that is, well, yes, Walker Fowler is very fast. What I'll say is, because I'm sure if he got on a dirt bike, he probably still does some super fast. He has some top 20 overalls. And I know Chris Borch rides dirt bike, how much now they do. I do know all those guys will cross over and ride a dirt bike. When I did it, when I crossed over to the dirt bike, like I said, I just done it as a training tool to help me on the ATV. And that's what the bike guys do now. Or I'm sorry, that's what the ATV guys do now. They'll ride the dirt bike to kind of cross train. You look at lines differently, you use different muscles. Mm-hmm. But I think the sport has become almost so specialized isn't the right word, but it's almost like the guys have to be so focused, and it's almost like they can't let their guard down and go race a bike on Sunday like I used to do, because it's like when they leave the track on Saturday, the guys at the high level, the Walker, they're going home on Sunday, probably cleaning stuff up, and they're thinking about what they got to do on the ATV to get stuff, be prepared for the next race. Yeah, that's why I think more guys don't do it.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I mean, just being at a GNCC up until this season, the one that I would go to every year, not every year, but a lot, was snowshoe, and I've learned that thing is just an animal unique to itself, and being at all the other races and seeing the family atmosphere. I mean, it's a traveling circus in a good way. Everybody knows everybody. It's a family atmosphere, and they're athletes, and what I think is really cool is the fact that they are athletes, but especially I see it more with the quad guys and the bike guys because I'm not around the bikes as much at a GNCC. The quad guys will hang out with each other after the race and kind of talk about the race and just stuff that you don't necessarily see in Supercross and Motocross, and it has its own vibe. I think it's really cool. You're on the other side of it now with being a team manager of one of the biggest teams in the paddock, and this year you guys have a new look to yourself with being the GasGas, the factory team. Walk us through that transition from athlete, and I know there's some other things that kind of went down or that you did with your career between that and team manager, but now you're the team manager of one of the biggest teams in the sport. Talk to us about that. Do you get that same enjoyment, that competitive, do you get to scratch that competitive itch that you had on the bike? What's that like being on the business side of things now?
It's, I guess, I kind of get to scratch that itch a little bit with the competitiveness. It's not as fun as winning an overall, whether it was a bike or ATV. But Ryan Sipes rode for us a few years ago, and he has one GNCC win, and it was on our team. So it was really satisfying for me. Ryan Sipes winning a GNCC.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it was really unique and really neat, but it wasn't the same as doing it yourself.
Sure.
But now, since I retired from the GNCC, from the racing, and I retired in 2010. So for me, knowing the sport so well and knowing so much about it, and being the team manager, this is the best way for me to kind of not live through my guys, but to be able to give back or to get enjoyment out of it is when I see these guys do good and get the result when they put it and get to the point, they're trying to get where I was at one point.
Yeah.
I was a top dog on ATVs and bikes. I'm not bragging, but the guys want to get, I want to try and help them get there.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's challenging for sure, especially because, I mean, I have everything from, my A guys up to Johnny Drawer, Ricky Russell. They're at the top of their sport, the top of their class. So, I work with a lot of guys. I've worked with guys in the past, guys as talented as Ryan Sipes. I mean, I've had some Pascal Rocknicker from Austria. I've had Jack Edmondson from England. And then we had the ATV guys with Eli Kiger, Bryson Neal. So I've dealt with a lot of different people from different countries. So it gets really hectic for me at times. But on the other hand, whenever these guys are able to achieve the results that they want, and me being part of it is, it's satisfying for me, for sure. So, and that's what I can keep doing, is just trying to keep giving these guys advice and helping them reach the goals that they want to.
Do you see your riders coming to you and seeking for that advice that you've, the knowledge that you've built over, your all your championships and time in the sport? Do you have some of your guys coming to you and asking, hey, what do you think I should do in this scenario, or training advice or anything like that? Are they soaking it up like a sponge?
Yeah, and some of them do it way better than others.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Some of them, if I speak back whenever I was with Ryan Sipes, obviously everybody knows who he is. He's won Supercross, he's won GNCC, he's won track, he's done everything.
Yeah, right.
But early on, whenever he was with our team, he was at our shop and we were going riding, and, we have a moto track, we have a woods loop, and we were going on a woods loop, and I had him, I pulled out in front of him and I was going, and I thought, well, he needs to, Ryan's biggest problem was, from racing moto forever, he focused right in front of him. He didn't gaze or look up and scan stuff constantly, which is what you got to do in GNCC. You got to be looking further ahead, plus in front of you. So that was one of Ryan's issues. So back up to whenever we're riding, we're out in the woods, and I'm like, just follow me, look at my lines, and, see what I'm doing. And I'm going, and I don't know, it wasn't even a mile, and I pulled away, and I thought, oh, he must have fell. So I stopped, and I thought, well, I don't want to go backwards on the trail. Anyhow, he comes up, and I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, you pulled away from me. Like, I couldn't keep up with you. And I'm like, okay, well, what was wrong? He's like, well, you took this line, you did this, you did that. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, that's what I want you to do, of see what I'm doing. Luckily I'm in a position to where I could do that. I could try and teach him firsthand.
Sure.
Well, we went some more, and I actually wasn't going full speed. I would back it down a tad so he could stay with me. And anyhow, when we were done, I told him, like, here's why I took this line. Here's what you need to do. And I was giving him advice, and he was trying to use it, but I think it was almost trying to teach an old dog new tricks. Sure. He was so used to, from the time he was 3 or 4 years old, racing moto and looking here, he didn't feel comfortable looking up. Yeah. I tried working with him with that, and he asked for my advice, and we tried working on it. And, I was glad to try and help him. Yes, we got to win, but yes, we constantly tried to make that better with Ryan. But that was one example. Then I have other guys, which Pascal from Austria came over. I like him still to this day. We don't talk very often, but he was very opinionated, and it was almost like if I tried to ever give him advice or tell him something, he's like, no, it's not the way we do it. That's not the way I do it. I'm going to do it my way. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, well, why not try it my way? And he was like, well, that way it probably won't work for me. And I tried to, and I'm just giving two examples of the guys, but I try to help my guys. I try to give them advice. And some guys, it comes back to, some guys ask for it. Some guys know they need it. Other guys think they don't need it. But bottom line is, even the guys that I have now, I tell them, I don't know everything about GNCC, but I've been in every one of the guys' shoes that are on my team, whether it's a B rider, A rider, pro rider. I've been there. I've done it. Mm-hmm. I'm not always right, but I can probably tell you I've been in a scenario you're in before, and I will try to help you or try to fix the situation you're in or try to make you better or turn the clickers. I'll do whatever I can to help the guys. Yeah, there's so much. And again, some of them are more open than sure. But that's just, everybody's different.
Yeah, no doubt. There's so much knowledge to be tapped into, even if a sport or an industry changes over time, and there's somebody that was successful, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago. Over time, that person still has so much you can learn from. That's something that I learned early on just in being an entrepreneur. I mean, some of my closest friends are 40 years old, 50 years old, and I soak up information from them like a sponge, whereas you have some people that are close to my age that are in business that they don't want to hear what anybody says. They're going to do exactly what they do, and sometimes that works for some people, but I don't care if it's sports or business or whatever it is. I'm definitely a believer that, find somebody that's done great things like yourself, and even if you don't agree with what they say, try to figure out why they're saying what they're saying, and can you apply some of that. Hey, when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the GasGas Coastal Factory Racing team. And I want to talk to Barry a little bit about some of the things he's doing now athletically as far as e-bike racing and getting involved with his son and seeing that aspect of the sport grow as well. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will chat some more with Barry Hawk. Fly Racing's 2021 line has been improved and expanded, offering the industry's widest range of moto and off-road products. Led by the revolutionary Formula helmet featuring Rheon technology, Fly Racing has taken big steps forward with the all-new Light Pant and Zone Pro goggle. It's going to debut this year at the Monster Energy Supercross by Justin Brayton and the Muck-Off Honda team. The Zone Pro goggle delivers premium performance from a brand you know and trust, fearless pursuit, Fly Racing. It's personally the gear that I wear. I've worn it moto, BMX, mountain bike. I've worn it and repped it for years. In my opinion, it's the best. Be sure to check out their goggle, their helmet, and all their gear. Fly Racing. Hey, big shout out to our friends at FMF. Little D and the guys are always doing some pretty exciting things, not just with the performance products, but man, they've got the coolest apparel in the game, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to get that at a little bit of a discount. If you go to FMF and pick up any gear you'd like, hats, shirts, whatever it is, upon checkout, if you enter the code MMP30, MMP30, you can get 30% off. So MMP30 at checkout and get 30% off your order on FMF Apparel. All right, welcome back. We got 8-time GNCC champion Barry Hawk with us. Barry, one of the questions I wanted to ask you today was how different the sport is now compared to, when you were involved and even after you'd retired. How being the team manager of one of the biggest teams in the paddock, the GasGas Coastal Factory Racing team, what are some of the biggest noticeable changes that you see and have to work with on a daily basis in the sport? Is it bigger as a whole? Is it more corporate? Do you have sponsors getting more involved in caring about, the presence at the races? What have you seen change-wise over the years?
The biggest thing for me personally was, so in 2010 when I retired, I'd done most of my deals with the sponsors. I didn't have an agent. So I had done most everything. I'm not the best business mind in the world, but I know how the sport works, and I knew enough to make things happen. Then from 2011 for GNCC, I set up the GNCC tracks to water the track, Loretta Lynn's outdoor, the motocross down there, to High Point, to whatever. I'd done whatever they needed done, worked for them for 5 years. So
you were working. So I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit there. So you were working on the tracks for several years. You were doing okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 5 years I was working on the tracks.
Got it.
So I was involved in the sport, in the industry, but I didn't have to talk directly to the sponsor. Mm-hmm. I just knew what was going on. I just didn't have to deal with any of the sponsors or any of the industry on that side of it.
Yeah.
So 2016 was the first year we started the bike team, the ATV team. That Coastal was racing UTVs up to that point, but we brought in the ATV and the bike side. So at the beginning of 2016, I start calling, emailing, texting, doing whatever I could to sponsors, and I realized at that point, my last was 2010, and you just picked up the phone. You didn't really email so much. You just pick up a phone, call a sponsor. Hey, I'm called FMF. I need a pipe. I need a sponsor, whatever. Boom, it's done.
Yeah.
Well, now I was like, I couldn't really call anybody. I had to email. And I struggled with the waiting for answers through email for people, because I'm like, I want an answer. Like, I don't need it right now, but like, get back to me the same day. And there was people who would take 2, 3, 4 days to reply to me. And I thought it was just the people blowing me off. I know now that that's how the industry is different. It revolves around the emails more than the phone calls.
Sure.
It's technology, everything moves, advances. That was something I struggled with early on.
Yeah.
I'm good with it now.
Yeah.
Is the social media part of it, which we all know is super important. And every single sponsor that I deal with to this day, and from 2016 till now, social media is so important in getting your name out there. And whether it's you're plugging the TM chain guide or anything whatsoever in GasGas, you know, they all want tag, they all want, and I get it. It needs to be done. I struggle with do a lot of social media. I look at it, but I don't post a lot.
Yeah.
But I tell them, my gosh, you need to do this more because the sponsors that they want to see.
Right.
Yeah, we'll do it. And some of them do a lot better job than others. But that is, you know, that didn't exist in 2010, or, you know, if it did, it was so minor, nobody paid attention to it. That is the biggest major difference from when I was racing to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
That's the key, is the social media part. And I know all my guys that I've dealt with know that it's important, but I don't think they say they know it's important, but they don't realize the impact that it can have and how beneficial it can be. I tell them, I try to beat it in their head. You need to do it more. You need to do it more. And yeah. But, you know, hopefully at some point it clicks with them and they get to do it more. But, you know, It's, again, everybody's different.
Yeah, I think I've worked and talked with riders and managers from anybody from the Orange Brigade for KTM to, you know, pros that are doing it, and that's how they're making their money, is their presence. And I think everybody understands how important it is, but I don't know if it's just something genetically that some people are attracted to it and can get on board with it, and other people, you know, it's a lot like, Eli Tomac. I mean, he's the fastest guy in the sport, but he's probably the absolute worst when it comes to promoting his personality. And some people they struggle with it. But the bottom line is, like you said, it's extremely important. I mean, you know, you just came back from, the press day for all the different GasGas teams, from, you know, Supercross and Motocross to off-road with GNCC. I mean, that thing wasn't broadcast on NBC. It was an event put on to be able to have content and PR related material for social media, and it was something that you guys flew out west for. So I mean, it's the lifeblood of a business today, because it's their attention, and it's more than just what you guys are doing on a race weekend. It's promoting your sponsors throughout the week as well. Man, it's interesting. I think it's been cool to see the evolution of the Coastal team, and I'm excited to see kind of your presence. And I know GasGas is making a really big push as far as being the fun brand in the KTM Husqvarna GasGas family. So I'm excited to see your guys' presence this year. I want to talk a little bit about, you know, you still got that competitive nature in you, and now. You know, you do it on the pedal assist bicycles at the GNCC race, and everybody that listens to this knows that I'm a big advocate for that, and I put together a team, and we actually get a race in the same class. And I remember the first race I did, I had no idea that you raced these bikes, and you rolled up on the line, and I was literally like, holy shit, Barry Hawk is in my class. And that was the first time I'd ever seen you. And now I've gotten to know you a little bit, and I've gotten to know your son. And it's just, it's a really, really cool scene that I feel like is growing. And what I think is really neat is someone that has done as much as you have in the sport. You would think like, okay, Barry's son is probably going to be racing quads or dirt bikes, but Talon I don't think really had as much of an interest in that, and he's all in on the bicycle, on the e-bike, and man, he's wicked fast too. So what's that been like to get to spend time with your son at the races, even though he's not on a motorcycle or an ATV, he's on a bicycle, and it's something that you're also interested in as well? What's that been like for you the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's been awesome. And if I up to my daughter is 21 now, 15, and they both had dirt bikes when they were young, and they rode a little bit, but neither one really expressed interest in it, and I was okay with that because I thought I'm not going to be the typical moto dad or push them. You got to do it. You got to do it. I wasn't going to do that, and I still to this day don't do that with them. But they've grown up going to the GNCCs, going to the races. So luckily in 2017, I was able to get some e-bikes for the team, and I talked to Tim Cotter, Kerry Joe about the e-bikes being for us to be allowed to ride them because they had a motor. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't want to tell my guys, hey, go ride these bikes, and then they get protested. Mm-hmm. Well, anyhow, Tim, GNCC, we all got together, and they said, yeah, that they're legal. It's a bicycle with a little bit of assist, and I kind of help get that through, get it pushed along to where my guys wouldn't be penalized. So we were some of the first people in GNCC that had the pedal assist bikes. Guys went up the track, and they were able to look at the track in one day, and they're like, this is great. Mm-hmm. So then when they would get done pedaling, I would charge them up, and then me, the team owner, mechanics, we would go out on the track on the bicycles. I'm like, this is a perfect tool for us as well. Yeah,
right.
So that was really good. And then I got to the point where we had enough bikes. I would bring a tape rod for rod. And my wife, daughter, whatever, they weren't so much interested. But Talon just kept riding. There was one specific one. He just kept riding it. And it got to the point where, so what it would have been 2018, they had e-bike races, and Talon's like, Dad, I want to do it. I'm like, okay. So he signed up, done a couple of them, loved it. And then things kind of like moved along pretty quick. For 2019, they were going to have the entire, do the series for the e-bikes. Talon said, Dad, I want to do it. And I had a couple-year-old bicycles. So I'm thinking, what do I got to do? I made some phone calls. I talked to Colin at Walmsley. I talked to Charlie Mullins, and then I talked to my people at Hot Bike, and they said, yeah, that luckily they were able to hook Colin up with a bicycle. So he ended up, last year, 2019, he ended up winning his class for the year. And going into the first round, he kept saying, Dad, I want you to race. And I thought, all right, why not? I've done everything else GNCC. So, right. And I told him, I said, well, don't be surprised if Dad beats you. And he was at the time, he would have been 13, 14, whatever. And he's like, okay, like I could tell the look on his face. He thought, you're not beating me, Dad. And I beat him the first couple races, but then in the summer break. And I really wasn't, I would just show up at the race, at the bicycle race and race it. I really wasn't doing much training during the week at any at all on a bicycle, where he just kept going. And I think it was by snowshoe. Yeah, it was snowshoe last year. It was one of those deals where I was going and I'm like, yes, I feel good. The downhill part, and I were good on the big long uphill. And I could see my guys, my dirt bike guys, were out looking at the track. People start yelling, he's coming. And I knew who he was.
It was, yeah.
And he caught and passed me, and I just saw him. He just walked away from me, and I said, well, it's it. I'm done. He passed me, and the torch has been passed. I'm never going to beat him again. Unless he has some sort of issue during the race. Yeah. He just rides so much. He's talented at it. So yeah, but I was good with that. I wasn't mad that happened. I was glad. I was grateful, and to be able to be out there on the track with him. And when the race is over, we can sit and talk about, oh, did you see this hill, or whatever, just race stuff. We can talk about that on the way home and the rest of that week. So, and I got to do that with my dad, because my dad actually raced ATVs. So we would talk all week about the race, the track, this guy, that guy, whatever happened. And now I'm doing it with Talon.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat. It's, I'm glad to be part of it, and he's kicking my butt, and I'm good with it. I still, every couple weeks, Talon and I both tell my wife and daughter, I'm like, you guys need to do it one time. You need to do it one time. You need to do it. They're like, they'll go riding with us if we do some trail rides around her or whatever. They'll go ride, but I don't think. Well, my wife and daughter both have a competitive nature, but they just don't want to do the race part of it. And
sure.
maybe one day I'll get them there, which that'd be pretty neat
special,
if we could
no
have
doubt.
all 4 of the Hawks out there racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, it's been cool just kind of seeing him progress. And look, I mean, there's, a lot of people, the people that hate on e-bikes are generally people that have never tried one. And bottom line is they're fun. And especially at these races, I mean, you're getting a workout. My heart rate, the first race I ever did, got up to like 193. I thought I was going to die. And so it's cool to see that aspect of the sport grow. It's cool to see past champions like yourself and Charlie Mullins kind of find a passion and a life in that sport after the dirt bikes and the ATVs. And it's been cool, man. And I have a great appreciation for what you've done as an athlete and what you're doing as a team manager. And it's fun to ride against you and your son at the races. So I'm looking forward to another year of GNCC and getting to hang out and see you guys at the races. And man, I appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to see what the GasGas team, GasGas Coastal team does for 2021 at GNCC.
Yeah, man, we're excited, and yeah, definitely. We'll see you out there on the track. I plan on doing. I think last year I didn't get to make all the races. I was there, but I didn't get to race them. But this year I plan on doing all of them. So
nice.
I just need to train a little bit more so I don't get my butt kicked as bad. Right. But it's looking forward to it, and awesome. Hopefully my factory GasGas team, those guys can go out and have fun, put in good results. So at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is really, just going out and having fun.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, Barry, I appreciate the time, man. It's always good catching up with you, and I think people will enjoy this episode, and I appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch up with you here soon.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impact Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.